What's up, y'all? Good morning. Haven't made one of these in a while. I'm about to go work on an Ice-O-Matic CIM. The call is they think they have a bad control board. Let's go check it out. Here we go. Ice-O-Matic. Got a red blinking light. Went ahead and reset my error by pressing and holding the power button and the clean button in at the same time for 3 seconds. That resets the error code, puts the machine in the off mode. I did a quick inspection, visual inspection. Yeah, it's dirty. It's dirty up in there. My damper does trigger my lights on my control board. Check my evaporator. My evaporator looks like it's in good condition. When my water turns on, I'll make sure my water filter is passing water. Let's see what happens when I hit the power button and this thing runs through a cycle. So we just started calling for water. My gauge went down to 0 and it's just slow little stream barely dripping into there. So I'm gonna go ahead and change out the water filter first. Not saying that's my only issue, but definitely an issue. I went ahead and bypassed this filter instead of swapping it out just in case there's something else majorly wrong. I don't wanna charge customers for a new water filter just yet, but it's calling for water now. And as you can see, the filter pressure gauge didn't tee out at 0, and my tray is actually filling up with water. So we're gonna go through pre-chill, see how freeze looks, and see if it drops ice. So I heard my fan cycle switch. I heard it click, but my fan hasn't come on yet. I would assume here in the next couple of seconds, my compressor is gonna shut off on high heat, or excuse me, high pressure. I'm gonna go ahead and check to see if I'm getting power here. That's my fan motor plug-in. If I am, then I have a bad fan motor. If I'm not, then I have to check my fan cycle switch. Checking power at my condenser fan plug. I'm getting 0 volts. I know that based off relay number 2, relay number 1, that light right above this guy right here is energized. So that relay is supposed to be passing power through this purple wire here. You can't really see it. It says J8 on it. And that passes power to my fan cycle switch, which passes power to this plug. So I'm not getting power here at this plug. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna check my fan cycle switch, then I'm gonna check my control board last. You know what? Actually, I just changed my mind. I'm gonna check for power at the board first, because the only thing between the board and my condenser fan motor is that fan cycle switch. If my control board is sending power to my fan, then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bypass the fan cycle control. If my fan comes on, then I know that I have a bad fan cycle. So let me show you how to do that. All right, so like I said earlier, I'm gonna check power to the control board. Relay number 1, which is the one right here with the sticker on top of it, passes power to this wire right here, the purple wire that says J8. You can see my compressor just shut off because the machine overheated because my fan's not coming on. So let me show you what I'm gonna do. Go ahead and take one of your leads. You're gonna stick it right inside there, and then you just touch the other end of your lead to a ground source like that. And I'm getting 120, if you can see that. So my control board's passing power. I'm not getting power at my plug. So the only thing that's in between it is a fan cycle switch, which is right here. This is my fan cycle switch right here. I'm gonna put a jumper between those 2 leads, see if my fans come on. Oh, and I also wanted to point out that I did put my high side pressure gauge on just to make sure that my compressor was working. So my fans were supposed to be turning on, and I did have compression. And I'm at 400 right now. It should be cycling between 250 and 200. That's the range that that pressure switch is set for. So at 250 PSI, the condenser fan comes on. At 200 PSI, the condenser fan shuts off. So I went ahead and put my jumpers across my fan cycle switch so that the purple wire will pass power to my plug, and just like that, my fan is spinning, my machine is running. Let's see what is going on with my pressure gauge. We're just under 200 PSI. I'm going to let this thing make a batch of ice to make sure there's nothing else wrong with it. And as long as it makes ice, harvests in a decent amount of time, we're gonna go ahead and change out that fan cycle switch and the water filter. So we made ice and machine cycled into harvest. Should go ahead and drop ice here in a second or two. There we go. And called the customer, got approval. This is a new fan cycle switch. I'm gonna go ahead and swap that out, give you a step-by-step on how to do that. Step one, replace the switch, is to unplug the machine. And then you're gonna go up here, make sure you're switching out the right switch. So this is the pressure switch. I already took my leads off, try to give myself some room. It might seem kind of silly, but I'm gonna use my pinch off vice grip pliers, and I'm going to pinch the refrigeration line closed, and then I'm going to use a copper cutter, and then I'm going to cut that switch out. So I decided to go get my light because I really couldn't see anything. So like I said, pinch off pliers, pinching that copper line closed, make sure it's nice and tight because you're going to end up cutting this off and you don't want refrigerant to spray out. For anyone that's curious, this is the recommended way to do it. Buy Ice-O-Matic to save time, save money, so you don't have to empty all the refrigerant out of the system or recover it out of the system and then pull a vacuum and recharge and all that stuff. So this is totally okay to do. So I like to use my cutter and have it as close to the top as possible. That way I have more copper stem to work with, because I'm gonna have to swedge and weld in a new pressure switch. So just a couple tightens, and you might get a little bit of hissing when you finally break through, but it shouldn't be that much as long as you pinched it off properly. And are we getting close? There we go. I didn't actually get any hissing, so that's my hole. Make sure nothing falls down inside of it, and I'm gonna swedge that and put the new pressure switch in place. So I got my pressure switch connected. I went ahead and swedged it. This is my heat blocking putty and a couple of wet rags that I'll use as a heat blanket. Now I'm gonna torch that thing into place. So welding is complete. Went ahead and did a visual inspection. I'm also gonna use some soap bubbles to check it as well. You're also gonna need to unpinch your line. You're gonna use your same pliers that you use to pinch it, and you're just gonna go opposite of wherever the pinch is and grab it just enough to spread that pinch apart so that you can have pressure back up in this portion of the line. So I went ahead and reopened up that pinch point, used my leak detector, micro leak detector, spray soap bubbles, checked for leaks. We're not leaking. I'm gonna go ahead and put my wires back on, plug it in, and verify that that's doing its job using my pressure gauge as a reference. We just started this guy up. See my pressure gauge is going up. If it gets to 250, you should hear a click. You might not be able to hear it, and then that fan should turn on if I did it right. If not, figure out what happened. Click. And fan is spinning. Can't really see it, but it is definitely spinning. So that is a successful change out. Now that it hit 250, my pressure is gonna drop. If it gets to 200, that pressure switch should click again and my fan will shut off. Getting close. Oh, okay, so it clicked. I don't know what's up with it, but that pressure switch is actually 190 to 250. It's usually 200 to 250. I just have that in my head, but that one actually is 190. I noticed when I was installing it. So there we go, clicked on. My fan's gonna turn back on, and then the cycle is just gonna repeat itself so that it keeps that high side pressure within the 200, 250 range. It needs that pressure, it needs that heat, so that when it cycles into harvest, it has enough heat to harvest the ice. We made ice, we just cycled into harvest. This thing's about to drop here in about a minute and so, and then we'll, a minute or so, and then we're gonna check the ice thickness, make sure everything looks good. Obviously this thing's still dirty, so we're gonna recommend that somebody come back out and do a full maintenance on this machine. It's in a warehouse. It's nice and dusty and dirty in here. There we go, got some ice. Let's see what we got going on down in here. Let's see, that's pretty good. Maybe a little on the thin side. I'm gonna add a little bit more, but we'll call it good. So that was fun. Just a little recap of what I did. Showed up, suspected it was a control board because the customer was doing their own diagnostics. They just didn't know that there was a fan cycle switch in the system. So I did my own checks, saw that it was going off on high pressure, checked the control board, it was passing power, checked the actual plug-in at the condenser fan motor, there was no power there. Just because I know how the machine works, I knew that there's a fan cycle switch in the middle, so I just jumped that out. Now the fan cycle, now the condenser fan is running, I know the fan cycle switch is bad. Went ahead and swapped that out, no problem. We also had an issue with that water filter over there, swapped that out. Now it's making ice. It's about a 10-minute free cycle, minute 30 harvest. So we're good to go. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.